If you wanted to skim and learn all the new research that was presented at your field's last annual conference, what's the easiest way for you to go do that? I'm going to show you a new user-friendly approach that I helped design at CurveNote, but first I want to go through the typical way that scientific conferences handle this problem. Some scientific conferences will put out a book of abstracts. This is a really nicely typeset giant PDF file usually, or sometimes a physical book, that contains all of the abstract summary paragraphs for every presentation presented at the conference. I linked this one in the description if you want to try to browse through it yourself to get a feel for it. There's a lot to love about this book of abstracts format. Like, the main benefit to me is that there's absolutely no transition cost between learning each finding. You just sort of learn, scroll, learn, scroll, learn, scroll. You don't have to go find things. And because you're sort of passively consuming the order that they've put things in, it helps you serendipitously discover new research that you might not have clicked on otherwise, which is usually a good thing. But it's not a very rich learning experience. Like, besides these nice author photos, it's just paragraphs of text. Usually you submit a conference abstract that includes a lot of like figures and data analysis and things like that. Sometimes those key figures are really helpful, but they're missing from this book of abstracts format. It's also not really easy for you to jump around and find what's interesting to you or what's in your research area. And it's really overwhelming. Like, this one's 283 pages. I really wouldn't be surprised if most people skimmed less than the first 10% of that and then just sort of got bored and gave up and missed the other 95% or 90% or whatever. But I love that like everything in one place feel, and it's so nice that I wish more conferences would put out an abstract book like this. The other common approach that you've for sure seen before if you're in science is to let people browse the abstracts as part of like the online program. So here's one example from the Academy of Management Proceedings, link in the description if you want to try this one too. With this one, you don't get that sort of random serendipitous learning experience you get with the big book of abstracts. But what you do get is the ability to really quickly filter on what you find interesting. When you click to read an abstract, each abstract paragraph has its own DOI URL. So each abstract paragraph is individually discoverable in Google Scholar, which is great. And presumably you can actually see all the key figures and download a PDF of the full paper for this article if you're a member. And that's the biggest problem with most of these online conference proceedings. They're paywalled. It would cost me $214 and a registration process just to access a single one of these papers or see the key figures from one of the papers. And if you're trying to catch up on research from your conference because you missed the conference that year, you're not going to want to pay dues. You'll probably just find yourself being like, I guess I'm satisfied with the abstract paragraph. I know conferences need to make money to exist, but it really kills me when we put up these barriers between the scientists and the knowledge they need to help us. Okay, now check this one out. These are the conference proceedings for SciPy. SciPy stands for Scientific Python. If you don't know what that is, it's probably the most popular package in the world for scientists to do scientific data analysis in Python, the language. Right away, the SciPy proceedings try to have a little bit of ceremony, like that book of abstracts, where it's not just dry and technical, like you can browse the proceedings here. It's more like, hey, we put all this together and curated it for you. Here's a bunch of new knowledge you can start learning. It's fun, right? It has a single call to action button, so it invites you to start reading right away. You've got a nice key figure thumbnail and abstract summary to help you preview each paper and start learning as you scroll, kind of like the book of abstracts lets you do. It's easy to jump between years. Then when you click a paper, that's where the magic starts. Everything is open access. No paying for membership, no logging in, no downloading the PDF first. Just start learning. You get this beautiful, full-fledged, modern paper reading experience. Like table of contents over here, course DOI URL for every paper, big, clear figures that fill the whole screen. Like, this one is my favorite. I think it shows a simulation of dark matter, which is really beautiful. All of these articles have the full next generation reading features provided by open source mist markdown. Like, if I hover this reference to a figure, it'll preview that figure. Or if I hover a reference to a section, it'll preview that section for me. And it's completely mobile friendly, so everything is comfortable to read on your phone. And some figures include the code behind them, so other researchers can come in and reproduce the analysis for that figure. Like, this is what learning science is supposed to feel like. Simulations of supernovas and reproducible analysis and free for everybody to learn. And I'm extra proud of this one because I helped design it. We built this for SciPy at the company I work for, CurveNote. And I know that makes me very biased, but at CurveNote, we're doing work every day to try to make scientific publishing more user-friendly, and we donate a ton of development time to open source projects. So I really don't have much of a sense of inner conflict in showing this stuff off that we're building at CurveNote, because I genuinely believe as an individual who wants science to speed up, that this is the best answer for science right now. It can get better, but I think this is the best I've seen so far. And obviously, huge thank you to SciPy's proceedings team. They helped make this happen. They helped pioneer this new format, and they recommended a better poster at this year's conference. So double thanks. Really, when we're redesigning these conference proceedings, what we're really trying to get at is what's the most efficient way to transfer all the knowledge that was brought forth at the conference into the brains of every single scientist who can benefit from it. How do you transfer that knowledge efficiently? What is the quickest, most efficient way for a researcher to get this big update on everything that's happening in their field? That's still an open question. None of these are perfectly efficient learning experiences yet. But I think what we're doing with these SciPy proceedings and with more conferences to follow are a step closer to that efficient learning experience. But I'm excited to keep trying to improve on it for the rest of my life. Let me know what you'd like to see.